Hello and welcome to the Sports Writers Show. I'm Herald-Whig sports editor Don O'Brien. To my left, Blake Toppmeyer. To my right, Matt Schuckman. This is the place to be. Every week we'll talk area, high school, and college sports. First time we've been on the web, thanks for joining us. We'll be here each and every week. And guys, right now it's football season. Schuck, QND, big win over Hannibal week 1. They got some law officers coming to town this week. What's going on?
Transportation and law. They're going to have a sheriff's escort in all the way from St. Louis.
Will these guys have batons and?
No, they're bringing Glocks.
Okay.
And Uzis. I mean, it's serious. No, I'm just kidding. Transportation and law, Class 2 school out of St. Louis, comes in having won 9 games last year. Got knocked out by a team that played in the state title game. A team that I think a lot of people, when Notre Dame got it on the schedule, went, this will be a pushover game. This is one of those games you schedule, you get an easy win, you move on. Not so much. I think Transportation and Law is going to bring a better team than most people anticipate. QND, I think a lot of people expected QND to lose last week to Hannibal. The fact that they beat the Pirates and showed a very effective ground game, were very good up front defensively. A lot of people now look at it and go, okay, maybe they're not going to be a team that's going to battle for 5 wins. Maybe they can get 6 or 7. I think a lot of people changed their opinion about the Raiders after last week's game. They've got to come out and duplicate that effort. They've got to come out and do that against a team that nobody knows versus 1-0.
Okay, so we got a QND team that's 1-0, Blake Toppmeyer. We've got a QHS team that's 1-0, an impressive opening night victory over Alton. They're going to go to Mattea Valley, a team they kind of struggled with last year, a team that we thought, okay, new program, going to be an easy win for the Blue Devils, and it wasn't that case.
Right. And last year there was no senior class for Mattea Valley, with it being the new school that started in 2009. This year is now the first senior class for them. So in theory, as long as nobody moved out of the district or quit football, they're bringing back all their starters, which makes them a pretty dangerous team. I don't think they're the expected cupcake game as they were supposed to be last year, and they really didn't turn out to be that last year. As you mentioned, QHS won just 17-7 last season. They're going to spread the field, I think, a little bit, air it out a little bit. They're pretty balanced between the run and the pass. They got a quarterback, Jared House, who passed for 160 yards last week. QHS shut him down last season, but the Blue Devils secondary looked a little bit susceptible against the pass last week against Alton. So that could be interesting to see if they make some improvements against the pass. And Mattea Valley also has a pretty good running back as well in Cameron Wilcox. So pretty balanced offensively.
QD feeling pretty good about itself after week 1. What about the QHS folks?
I think they're pretty pleased. Yeah, I mean, they, for the first almost half of that game against Alton, they totally dominated. And they had a little bit of a letdown. I think a lot of times that's natural when you're up by several scores. But overall, I think they're very pleased. They ended up with a 2-score win. Malik Robbins looked really good. Some other guy, the offensive line actually looked pretty good. Defensively, against the run, they were pretty good. Really just the defense against the pass was really the only area that might be, an area highlighted for improvement.
Quick look at the area. Pick game of the week this week for you in the area.
This week in the area, I'm looking to see who bounces back. Does Pittsfield bounce back from a humbling loss in week 1? I think the game that everybody should pay attention to is Unity Calhoun. Unity, a team that they got off to a great start with a big victory last week, got knocked out of the playoffs last year by Calhoun. Really, this is a tone setter for the Mustangs. They have a chance, if everything falls into place, to possibly break the school record for wins. If it all works out, that means a win this week, and that would be a big win for them.
Tops for you.
I'd say Illini West and Rockridge. Illini West, a team that was really challenged last week against Mendota, lost. I don't think it's time to be jumping off the IW ship yet, because Mendota is such a good team. However, all reports that I've heard out of that game were that the Chargers did not play very well. They got a Rockridge team that cracked the state rankings this week, so they're going to be challenged again here in week 2. And if IW starts 0-2, that's a little bit of uncharted waters for them.
Switching gears real quick, we'll look at some soccer. Schuck, Quincy High School boys off to a great start to their season. QND boys not so much, although they did get a win last night on Tuesday night against Jefferson City. Assess the state of soccer, Seamus Mallon.
Well, Quincy High has played really well. 4-0 going into this weekend. They play 2 teams from the Metro East area this weekend. Really gives them a gauge on what they're going to be up against come postseason time, because they will go south in the postseason. They've been knocked out by an Edwardsville team the last couple of years. They've got to contend with and beat good teams from the south if they want to have a magical season, if they want to make a run. So far, offense has been dynamic. Defense needs to get better. Haven't been tested a lot. Gave up a goal last week. I think that'll change the way they approach things. Got a little lackadaisical, and they admitted that. Notre Dame, offensively, they've been good. They just haven't finished. I mean, they've created opportunities. They need to finish. We saw that against Jeff City. They did finish. Now they've got to continue that. Their tournament this weekend, it all sets up for the showdown next Tuesday, Quincy High versus Notre Dame at Flynn Stadium.
Who you got in that game? Because we won't have another one of these until after that match.
I'll take Quincy High on their turf. First time playing the big rivalry game on their own turf, and their speed up front is going to be tough to beat.
Blake, volleyball-wise, Quincy High School has its early bird tournament this weekend. They're off to a pretty decent start. What does this tournament mean for them this weekend?
Well, it's a tournament they normally play pretty well in. There'll be some decent competition roll into town, but for Quincy High, I think the big thing is they haven't played now in over a week. Once this tournament rolls around, I don't think that's going to be a problem. But anytime you're off for matches for over a week's time, I guess you never know what's going to happen. But as you said, they're off to a good start. With their 1-0 after their win against Glenwood, and looked really good in that game. Some of their younger players look like they've improved. Lexi Freeze was absolutely dominant. On the other side of town, Notre Dame's off to a good start, starting off 3-0 and beating a Unity team that many believe is probably the best Class 1A team in the area. So Notre Dame obviously being 2A, but they have picked up a real nice win over a 1A opponent already.
Yeah, college football coming up this weekend as well. QU, Culver, home openers on Saturday. Culver Stockton Saturday afternoon, QU Saturday night. I'm going to take in both those. I've got the sweep. I've got the local teams getting the sweep. I've got Culver with its only win last year was over Graceland. Graceland comes to Elson Polton, a place that Culver hasn't won in forever. And then I've got QU playing its first game at Flynn on Saturday night, playing an Iowa Wesleyan team they scored 50 some odd points against last year. Of course, when you get up 62, it's hard to win. I think they're going to get done. Iowa Wesleyan only scored 7 points last week against William Penn. I think it's a great chance for both those teams to come out of the gate with
first ever night game in QU program history.
Correct. First ever night game in program history. You got it.
So that'd be interesting.
Hey, that does it for our first show. This is Sports Writers Show. I'm Don O'Brien, Matt Schuckman, Blake Toppmeyer. We'll be back next week. Thanks for checking into us at Wig.com.